Good morning, my dear students. We are in the last of Chapter 9 at the Dot Boys Hall. I was explaining the chapter to you. We reached page number 83. We were discussing the conversation between Mr. Nicholas and Smike. If Nicholas had hit Smike instead, he would have slunk away without a word. But at the slightest hint of kindness, the boy could not hold back his tears. The situation is, our Nicholas asked Smike whether he was feeling very cold or not. Mike responded that, I am not cold, I am used to it. Instead of being anger, Nicholas exclaimed, poor fellow. That melted the heart of Smike. That was not a matter of disrespect. Smike gave a reply that I am not cold, I am used to it can irritate his teacher. But here, our Nicholas is a gentleman. He is not getting irritated by that response. Being irritated, and if Nicholas had hit Smike, he would have moved away quickly, out of fear, without a single word. But here, Nicholas expressed his kindness. Because of that, the boy could not hold back his tears. Our Smike cried. Hush, hold your tears, said Nicholas, laying his hand on Smike's shoulder. That was also a symbol of expressing love and care. I have lost so many of my friends here since I have a child, cried Smike. They were younger than the youngest boy here now, and there is no hope for me. Smike started to cry and express his worries to Mr. Nicholas. There is always hope, said Nicholas. He did not know what else to say. Do you remember the boys who died here? Smike asked Nicholas. I was not here, said Nicholas gently. But what of him? He asked. Here, Smike is expressing his concerns and sadness to Mr. Nicholas. Lots of his friends died in that Dot Boys Hall because of extreme cold, hunger, and not getting enough medicine and care. Now Nicholas inquired Smike about the best friend that had died in the Dot Boys Hall, who was the best friend of our Smike. I was with him at night, said Smike, and when it was all silent, he cried no more for friends he wished to come and sit with him. He began to see faces from home around his bed. He said they smiled and talked to him. Smike was explained the last days of his best friend who had died in Dot Boys Hall. Smike was with him at that last night. That night, he didn't cry more for friends he wished to come and sit with him. But instead of that, he saw the faces of his relatives around his bed. He said that they all smiled and talked to him. Suddenly, the bell rang for bed at that moment. Hearing the sound, Smike fell silent again and crept away as if to avoid being noticed. It was with a heavy heart that Nicholas went to bed that night. Nicholas' heart was very heavy because he really understood and experienced the pain of all those children, those who were there living in Dot Boys Hall. But soon there came a day when Smike, unable to face the squeezed tortures any longer, and ran away. He was found and brought back within 24 hours. Haggard, wet and covered in mud. The authority found our Smike and brought back him to the Dot Boys Hall. The work Smike did would have cost the school 10 or 11 shillings a week in wages, which means the work that Smike did in that school was too much, and if we keep one another person to do that work, we should give 10 or 11 shillings as a payment for a week. Mr. Skewer said about several examples of children, those who ran away from that Dot Boys Hall, and he decided to punish Smike harshly. At the first blow, Smike uttered a shriek of pain. Smike cried louder because he got a very severe punishment. And Nicholas started up from his desk and cried, "Stop! Touch that boy at your peril. I will not stand by and see it done." Here, the Smike got angry and he cried out, "Not to touch our Smike. If Mr. Square punish him again." Nicholas said that, "I will not stand by seeing it. I will respond to it." He had scarcely spoken when Squeeze, enraged, struck him across the face with his cane. All Nicholas' rage and scorn broke loose then. He lost his temper. He was angry as much for Squeeze's cruelty towards his wards as for what that man had done to him. Which means our Nicholas was angry. Exactly, he was feeling like he was one among that children and Mr. Cure is punishing our Nicholas. He took it personally. Nicholas felt like Mr. Square is punishing him. Nicholas took the pain of that children in his heart. He sprang upon the schoolmaster, snatched the cane from him, and turned his fury upon the man until he roared for mercy. Which means Nicholas jumped upon Mr. Square, snatched the cane from his hand, and turned his fury upon the man until Mr. Square roared for mercy. Mrs. Square wanted to help Mr. Square from all these punishments that Nicholas was giving. She hung on the tail of her husband's coat and tried to drag him away, but to no avail. She was not able to do that. Eventually, Squeeze lay sprawled on the ground, stunned. He was not able to move. Nicholas punished Mr. and Mrs. Square very harshly, and he left that room. He went to his room and packed up his few clothes in a small leather bag. He marched out by the front door and struck for the road for London. There ends our story. Dear students, please listen to all the videos related to this chapter and try to find out the question answers. We will discuss answer the questions with the reference to context in the next video. Before that, make sure that you did all your previous chapters exercises and the difficult words of this chapter into your copy. Thank you.